are worthy. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of acceptance. You're worthy of forgiveness. You're worthy of everything that life has to offer.
Hey y'all, I'm Yayla and this is my podcast for the girls, and today we're here with
Maci.
And we're going to be talking about self-love, like your spiritual journey. Just kind of like what I wanted this episode to be was just like ending out the new year, kind of helping girls figure out how they want to go into 2023. Like starting your self-love journey or even continuing your self-love journey, and like ways that we can just like help you or give advice. Because if you guys don't know, me and Maci and Simone, of course, we have a club at our school, basically with like the same intention, like to just help girls on their self-love journey, figuring out if they even want, if like they want to go into a spiritual journey, you know, just kind of being there for like older big sisters. So I was like, I definitely want Maci on this episode because like we talk about this all the time.
No, really though.
Yeah.
Like even our first meeting, we really like got into it.
Yeah, so I was like, this is gonna be a good club. Like, I hope like someone takes it over next year or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, they do that for like BSU or something like that. Like that, like I want that for our club.
Oh
Yeah. I just want to keep going. Like I feel like women can always better themselves, and why not help?
Right,
You know?
exactly. Why not help?
Why not be part of the change?
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so we're gonna be talking about just all things self-love. So I don't really have questions this episode, just because I wanted me and Maci to just kind of like bounce off each other. But I do have like not like questions, but like topics. Okay, so I feel like everyone's definition of like self-love is different. So I would like to start off my episode like with that person's definition, because I feel like what your definition of something is really goes into like how you see certain things, you know, like if we all view love differently, then we're all gonna love differently.
Yeah, exactly,
you know. So that's why I just want to say, like, what is your definition of self-love, or like being on a self-love journey and stuff like that?
I feel like my definition of self-love is honestly just being your truest and most authentic self. It's showing up for yourself no matter what. It's honestly just being the best version of yourself that you can be. And I feel like it took me a long time to really come to terms with my self-love. Because, you know, just I feel like a lot of like young women's and just people in general, the trauma stems from like early childhood.
Right.
So it's just, my definition of self-love is just being able to show up for yourself and honestly just taking care of your needs and make sure you're just always putting yourself first. Yeah,
I would agree with that. I feel like just like for me, I feel like self-love is just being authentically you and always working towards getting closer to being authentically you and becoming a better person with yourself, you know, like never giving up on bettering yourself and being the best person and loving yourself in that process, you know, like loving all the changes of who you are, you know, and like, you know, like just continuing to go forward in whatever, with the intention that I'm doing this for me and I want to become a better woman or a better man at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times people think that like self-love is just self-care.
Like let's separate like because that's like two different things. Like you self-love, I feel like you have to be there for yourself like mentally, emotionally, physically, and like I feel what a lot of people don't understand it's really hard taking care of yourself. Like at the end of the day, like we're all human beings and it's really hard to take care of your body. It's a really hard thing to take care of your mind mentally. Honestly, self-love is not like a journey where it's gonna just stop and end.
There's never an end.
No, there's it's never an end, because it's like as people, we go through different experiences almost every single day of our life. We're faced with different challenges, different trauma, just every day is just, you never know what's going to happen. And I feel like that does maybe affect our self-esteem, our mentality. You never know if someone's going to change your life or someone's going to just make you feel like, honestly, like shit. It's more just you need to have a strong and mental mindset, and it's harder said than done. It's like you gotta work your way up there, because it's not just gonna happen all of a sudden. It's more just, it's a challenge. It's like a lifelong journey, and it's a part of just like being able to just discover yourself in just a new, authentic way.
And I feel like a lot of times people think that like, okay, I've been on my self-love journey for 6 months and it's over. Like I used to be like, okay, I'm tired of working on myself, like doing this thing every single day. But then like I feel like never knowing, like every day is to teach you something. Like every lesson teaches you something. Everything that happens in life is to teach you something. So that's the beauty and the curse in the way that the word works. You know what I'm saying? Like one day you might feel like, okay, I did really good today on everything I need to do for me and taking care of myself. And the next day you might feel like, I could have did better today. But that's the beauty in it, you know? Like always leaving room to grow and always leaving room to better yourself. So I feel like, don't get like discouraged. Because I know I used to get extremely discouraged. Like I would be like, and when I get discouraged, I isolate. Like I don't want to talk to nobody. I just want to figure it out. Like I just want to be alone to figure it out, which is not healthy, but it's something to work on. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like when people give you like criticism or they give you feedback or they tell you like, I don't like when you're doing this, just always try to not get defensive. You know, I feel like sometimes we try to defend ourselves and defend our character, but it's like you have to realize if someone's telling you kind of like an area in your life where you can improve on, it's never to like bring you down. And even if it is, look at it not from that perspective, you know? Look at it like, how can I better myself? Like if someone's telling you, well, you're just always negative, you're always complaining, like don't take it so personal. Be like, okay, let me look at it in like a bigger, you know, like viewpoint. Like maybe I can work on being more positive, you know? So just always taking feedback in a way that's gonna better you.
Yeah, no, exactly. Honestly, that's one thing like I think I struggled with. Even when I was younger, like I used to get very like defensive and honestly I feel like middle school especially was definitely like a turning point for me. And like I don't know, because it's just you know, you grow up, you hit puberty, you're going through so many changes. We're young too, so it's just different emotions, and I feel like I couldn't take like criticism or feedback from people, and it was really challenging for me to even like look at it in a different way. But until after I had like my spiritual awakening when I was 15, I started really like realizing like, wow, like honestly, whatever I feel, it's a part of being human. You have to think about it in a broader perspective, like, okay, I'm human, this is a human emotion, and you shouldn't, I don't like to numb things down, because it's like you are meant to feel it, you are meant to feel that emotion, you are meant to, like, you're meant to go through it, and it's like, when you numb that down, you're not only numbing that pain down, but you're numbing that experience, that trauma down, and it's just going to be a reoccurring conflict that's going to happen again in your life.
Yeah, can I add on to that? Because I feel like most times when we go through something, we always like talk that serious anyways. Like, you just brush it off, but like, you're not brushing it off, you're just pushing it down and down and down. Like, analogy I would use is like, it's like a trash can. Like the trash can's full, but you're like, it's not that full, I can add more trash. And then you keep shoving it down, and you keep shoving it down. And at one point, it's going to be too overfull, and it's just going to be a mess, and it's going to stink, and it's going to show. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, if you feel something, allow yourself to feel it all the way out. Because then once you feel it all the way out, it shows you, and then you become aware of a part of that you may not have known. Like, yeah, like for me, like I'm a big gift giver, and I always love giving gifts. And so when I talk to like a person or I talk to a guy or whatever, I'm always like giving gifts. And so like I used to be like I don't know if it's too soon, like I don't know if I'm gonna come off like but then I was like, that's who I am. Like if this is who I am, and I'm doing this like just out of the kindness of my heart, and I thought about it, and it wasn't something that I was like, I want to do this so they'll like me, and it was just genuinely what I felt right to do. That's who you are. So never try to change the things that you feel or attach to who you are.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, what's meant to be will be. So people, I heavily like really believe into this concept. It's just, people will come into your life to serve a purpose, to serve a reason, just whatever it is. And like I said, if it's meant to be, it will be. And if, for example, if he can accept like your gift giving or like just you as a person, it's not meant to be. I wouldn't force it, because there's always going to be better. There's always going to be more to see. There's always more out there. It's like, it's just a never ending process. And no, just exactly what like you were saying.
That's what I come to realize too, is that like, if you're doing something and it's from the purest part of your heart and you're doing it with good intentions, and it's just like who you like, always try to work on being who you are, and like take things like if a situation is making you cry and you're like really crying, like understand like, I'm feeling this for a reason, and why am I feeling this, you know? Like I feel like some people just always try to be like, oh, like whatever, like I don't care, like and I feel like there's more. I feel like I talked about this in my last episode, but I feel like there's so much power in expressing how you feel. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can genuinely sit there and communicate how you feel, and just take the time to do self-introspection.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's how you really figure out yourself instead of being like, well, it's whatever, you know, having like a, I don't care.
No, exactly. But a lot of people have trouble facing that because they don't want to come to terms with whatever pain or whatever feeling that is being felt throughout like, their body, throughout their mind. It's just really hard, and it's honestly, it is hard for both men and women, but I feel like especially for men as well.
Right.
Like I just feel like men have a really hard time just opening up or just being able to communicate their needs because we live in a society where it's like standards and just. But like, oh my god, like I don't know, just like my spiritual self is like nothing matters, like really though, because society, just us living up to standards, that's all a human concept. Like if that was never made, this would not have ever existed. Like
would have affected us.
Right, exactly. So yeah.
Yeah, no, like okay, I always listen to Lauryn Hill, like her interviews or whatever.
Oh my gosh,
I love those.
Wait, can we talk about Lauryn Hill for a minute? Cause she really, I don't know, just when I was going through my spiritual awakening, like just during that whole process, because actually, this is kind of funny, but no, it is. But when I had my spiritual awakening, it was because I was going through like a really, really like hard time because my heart was broken. I got my heart broken.
Yeah.
And
well, can I just talk about that? Because I was talking about that. I feel like a lot of people think like your heart didn't break. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times we feel like our heart broke, but like nothing can break you. Like no human being has the power to break you.
True.
I used to say that too. It's like you know I got my heart broken, but once you say that, you're accepting that. You know, I'm accepting that this person broke my heart, and that means that I'm in agreement with the heartbreak. You know, but the heartbreak isn't a part of me. Like you didn't break my heart. So I always say like. Things didn't break me, they might have just chipped a piece off, you know? Like, that didn't break me, just chipped me. It like stung a little bit.
No, exactly. You know? I totally agree with you. I totally, like, understand where you're coming from. And, when it did happen, you're right, maybe they didn't necessarily break my heart, but
it felt like that.
No, it did feel like that.
For sure,
And it's not me coming to terms with accepting it, it's more that, like, me now realizing it's like, oh, it happened for a reason.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think. So maybe like heartbreak wasn't the right term, but
no, I see what you meant.
You know what I mean? Like I know like it happened for a reason, and but that's kind of what like prompted like my spiritual awakenings can happen to anyone. This is just like my personal experience, and I was really at my lowest. So I remember just like asking, like just like kind of like praying and just like just kind of like speaking like my truth. Like when I was sad, just telling like the universe, God, my angels to like help me. Like I don't know what's the next step for me to go. I don't know what to do. And from that day forward, I started seeing like angel numbers. I started seeing like just numbers appear to me. And that's when I really, really started taking care of myself. And the way I started taking care of myself is I really started to just disassociate with people around me. I really went into like a very isolated state. And that's when I truly like really found myself. Because if you can't be comfortable with being alone, how is that going to work when like you're in a relationship with someone or just anywhere? Like you're gonna have to come back home. It's only at the end of the day, it's only you. Right. So I really started getting comfortable with just being with myself, just being with just my energy and just I don't know. I feel like I just needed a better understanding of who I was and who I was meant to be, and that's what really prompted my self-love. And I'm just kind of glad that whole event, because it was an event, that happened to me, and I knew it had to happen to me. It was bound to. Like, and I'm glad. I'm really like grateful that I had the opportunity to like really experience that, because in a way it's very beautiful. I feel like my growth and what I had to go through during that like process was just very like eye-opening and awakening for me to really see through like myself, because when you're going through a time like that, you never really like see what's actually going on. You're only focusing on like what's happening within you. But yeah, so it was a wild journey, but
that first
it really
like,
opened me up.
Situation that feels like it's breaking you is like, it's definitely one of the lessons that just like it's not meant to break you. It's just meant to open you up.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
to open
exactly.
you up and open your perspective on everything and like your viewpoint. I was going to say about what you said. I feel like I lost it.
It's okay. I know. I was. Yeah. Sometimes I use it too. I'm just like.
Yeah. It was something to do with like Lauryn Hill.
Oh my gosh. We just kind of like.
No, but I meant to ask you too. Like, what is a spiritual awakening? Because I feel like people don't know. So I was like, let's talk about that.
So a spiritual awakening, it can be defined in very different terms, but a spiritual awakening is more so, it's not a belief that you have within like what's it called, like God necessarily, because it's not a religious belief. It's not a religious belief, exactly. It's not a religious belief. It's more that you believe in like Mother Earth, you believe in nature, you believe in spirits, angels, you believe in like your higher self, but also the universe. Like you believe in just being human and just being
just being a being.
Yeah, exactly. And when you have a spiritual awakening, it's very eye-opening because you start to look past. I'm not sure if you know about this, but in society we live in 3D. There's a 3D dimension, 4D, and then there's 5D. And a lot of people have not woken up yet. A lot of people live in a 3D society where like you're meant to go to school, you're meant to work, you're meant to die.
Structure.
Right, exactly. And when you have a spiritual awakening, that uplifts, you see past all that bullshit. And you're like ready to just like, I don't know, like conquer the world. Like you're ready to just be you, but not only that, you're here to accept like who you are as a being, because I believe that everyone does have a soul purpose in life. When you came down to earth, because I believe in reincarnation, everyone has a soul purpose. So whatever you do in this lifetime, you are meant to find your soul purpose. You are meant to find what you are able to do. And some people get lost in that because it's a challenge, because you get thrown these challenges in your way, but it's all part of the universe. Because every intention, every decision you make, it just makes you who you are.
Right.
And it makes you, yes, it really does shape you, and it makes you view the world in a very different like light. And so yeah, and a lot of what I wasn't even sure what to call it too when it happened to me, because I was just like, I just wanted to learn. I wanted to know more about like nature. I really started connecting with like Mother Earth and being very appreciative of like, wow, the trees, like nature, because they might not be a human being, but they're still alive, they're still growing, they're still flourishing. It's still like something that matters. And you really connect with like your divine self, but you ultimately connect with just earth and just being one with yourself. And that's when I started, like when I had my spiritual awakening, I started like meditating on end, and just honestly in hopes of just searching like for my soul and being very connected within myself, because a lot of people do lose their soul. A lot of people go through a lot and they lose touch of who they are meant to be. And so I just feel like in this lifetime, we are all meant to find our truest purpose. And personally, I think my truest purpose is I came to Earth to really help people and help people evolve and help people see past what is seen in like society. We are humans. We are supposed to be helping one another. We are supposed to come together. We are not supposed to be separate and differentiate from each other. It's a very like just awakening, but very forgiving and loving process. And like I had like these notes. I had like, because I like to write my notes a lot, and there was this moment I had with like my grandmama, and it's my mom's mom, and she's very, very wholesome, and like she's like an earthy type
like down to earth.
And like I had a moment with her, and she has like a green thumb, and like when people have a green thumb, meaning like they're very good with plants, and like she brings like any plant to life again. Like this plant will be dead, and I'm talking like just burnt out on their last leaf, and she just brings it to life. And I don't know why, but her just like love and her energy made me like write this note.
Oh,
I wrote something to myself, and while she was fixing up my plant in my room, and I just felt her energy, and it made me reflect on myself. And I just told myself, I said, as I write in my journal, reflecting on myself, I realized how far I came. I realized that the younger me had to go through the process of finding herself. Seeking inner peace is a challenge that I seek to overcome. I'm meant to be in this moment. I need to love and forgive myself. And then I repeat, like, I'm beautiful, I'm strong, I'm intelligent, I am in love, I am happy, I am hopeful, I am hardworking, I am me. And then I just told myself, I said, Maci, my love, continue on your path. Continue forward, May. You're a bright angel. You are here to help the collective. You are here for a higher purpose. Allow yourself to begin your journey. Allow yourself to become the best version of you. And I just kept telling myself, like, I am a blessing. And, like, everyone is hurting. Everyone is in a battle within their heads. And I feel like what everyone needs to really come to terms with is forgiveness.
Right, forgiving yourself.
Forgiving yourself, forgive people. And, like, ultimately, like, spread love. Have you heard about like frequencies? Like how people are on a different frequency?
Yeah.
The highest frequency you can be on is the frequency of love.
Yes, I always say that.
Yes.
And love because we're living on valued energy is how I see it. So like even if you're not in love with a boy or a girl, there is still love all around you, and you have to tap into that, and you have to be willing to see that, you know? Like most people, we just are so caught up in being in love with a boy and being in love with a girl, or just being in love in general with a significant other, but like being in love with yourself is still reaching that frequency, you know? And I don't say this to be like, oh, you have to be like conceited about it or anything, or be like cocky about it, but like you can love yourself to the fullest extent. Like you gotta go 110% for yourself, you know? Like if you're worried about what other people are thinking about you, like you gotta let that go, because at the end of the day, we're all gonna be worried about ourselves. So you just have to be focused on yourself, you know? Like people always have this image of how they view the world in their head, and they're gonna perceive things in that way. Like I was just telling Maci before we started filming, I was like, this girl had said on TikTok the other day, and she was like, we're always trying, and this goes for relationships too, but like as a person in general and just on your journey. She was like, we're always trying to be what people want us to be, to fit into society, you know? And I feel like that's our human construct, but like they're separate from being a human and being a being. You know, your being is who you are, your authentic self. And a human is just like you're talking about the rotation. The rotation, is that the right word?
Repetition?
Yeah. The repetition of just the cycle, the 9 to 5 cycle, going to school, going to college, and then working, and you know, like that same cycle. So your being is just, it's separate from that. And I feel like our human construct, we're always trying to be acceptable, you know?
Ooh, yes. No, really though. But you know what, have you heard about like your highest self and your ego?
Like your egoic mind, yes.
Okay. Another thing I want to get to, we need to really, just as a collective, differentiate between your ego and your highest self. Your ego, that little voice in your head that's constantly telling you like, you're doing the worst thing possible. Or like
you're doing too much.
You're doing too much.
Don't even worry about it.
Don't speak, don't talk. That's your ego speaking. Your highest self will never ever speak to you that way. Your highest self always wants to evolve you, always wants to look the best for you. Like just challenge yourself. Your highest self just wants the best for you. That's your ego speaking. And I feel like in my journey with self-love, I had to really differentiate between, okay, is my ego speaking right now, or is my higher self, like my intuition speaking to me? And it was my ego. So know the difference between your ego and your higher self, because your ego will always want the worst, and sometimes you have to shut out that light so you're able to really connect with yourself and see yourself for who you are. Because at the end of the day, like we said, we're just like human beings. Like we just are being, and you're here for a reason. Like your life, the who you are, it does matter. Your just acceptance of yourself, it does matter. Everything just about yourself, the way you were created, the way you were born, it's a very like beautiful process, and you were meant to be here.
Right.
Like you are worthy. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of acceptance. You're worthy of forgiveness. You're worthy of everything that life has to offer. And you have to remind yourself that. Even
positive affirmations.
Yes.
Say it to yourself. And I always say, like, my sister used to always say this to me, and I always say it because like sometimes I'm the kind of person, like I can admit because I'm working on it. I like to be in control of situations because I feel like if I'm in control of it, then I know how it's gonna go and I know it's safe. But if I let go of control, then I don't know what can happen. You know, so that's like me not wanting to be uncomfortable. But like you only grow in uncomfortable situations. Like I was telling my friend the other day, I was like, being alone is comfortable, and who wants to be uncomfortable? Who wants to be in that situation where they have to sit still with themselves and figure themselves out? And I feel like the best way, to be so honest, like, I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but this is just what worked for me and obviously worked for Maci.
Yeah.
To figure out who you are as a being and who the essence of you is, you have to feel like be alone.
Yes.
Like, you have to do isolation.
Yes, it's very true. Like, it's hard for people to be alone because it's like, we're humans. Like, we want comfort. We need attention. We need attention. Yeah, attention, comfort. We want love. We want acceptance. And like, that's okay because it's like, we're human. We're bound to make mistakes. But to truly be one with yourself and to be in acceptance with yourself, you need to go through like an isolating process. You need to take time to be like, okay, well, I need to sit with my feelings. I need to sit with my emotions. Like, where do I stand with myself and where do I stand with others? And also, honestly, create boundaries for yourself. It's okay to create boundaries. It's okay to create boundaries and have standards within yourself, within your relationships, within, like, with your parents. It's honestly with everything. Just make sure you're living up to those standards and boundaries, though, because that's when you don't, it's like you're kind of putting in the work.
You're expecting something from others that you're not doing for yourself.
Right.
Like, so one thing that I feel like this is really big in relationships, but a lot of times, especially society has made it seem like, oh, I want a man with 100,000. Well, can you bring 100,000 to the table? You know, like, you always have to make sure that what you're asking of others, you can give to yourself first. Because if you can't give it to yourself first, then when they fall short, you're gonna crave that presence because you couldn't feel it with yourself.
Right.
So anything that I want from others, I make sure I can do for myself. Because if I can't do it for me, then when you can't do it for me, I feel dependent on you, and you never want to feel that, you know. So like one thing I always said, I want someone to like give me flowers once a month. So I make sure that I give myself flowers once a month. It's just part of my self-care, and you know.
That's so sweet. That's cute.
It's just small things that you do for you that you might want someone else to do for you. Make sure you can do for you.
Yeah.
And I feel like, girl, I'm gonna tell y'all this girl's TikTok because I watch her videos all the time, and everything she says just resonates so much. I'm gonna go to it.
There's also another podcast I listen to. It's called Your Highest Self, and let me see who it's by, but it's this lady. She's also a Capricorn, by the way.
Okay, we love Capricorn.
No, really though. No, it is Capricorn season. So like, yes, but she's very it's called like she talks about a lot is finding your dharma, and if you don't know what like your dharma is, it's just you as a being, like finding yourself, finding your inner, like
tapping into
that. Right. And she is so like eye-opening and very awakening, and she's honestly someone I strive to be because I really look up to her presence, but her communication, the way she like presents herself, because I'm always just trying to better myself, and I'm always just on a constant like path of like, okay, I want to work on myself. This is the girl I want to be, like the young woman I want to become. So it's just like a constant like forward step. And in my notes that I wrote, I told myself like, okay, this is who I want to be, and I literally wrote down a list of who I want to be.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Things you need to do. Anyway, okay, so y'all, her Instagram is Legal Baddie, and she basically just talks about, I want to get this out here, I forgot, but I want to go back to what she said too. She basically talks about how like we're always trying to fit into what society wants. We're always trying to be that human construct. And even when we talk to people, even in our friendships, we're trying to conform. You know, like as humans, we're very big on conformity. You know, like conforming to how the other person is around us, just to be accepted, to be acceptable. But to be yourself, like you just have to be you. And I know it's hard to say that because you're like, how do I find myself? And I feel like Linky makes sure about to get into that. But sometimes, like, I can give y'all an example. Like, I was talking to this guy one time, because this girl told me she likes to, like, give personal examples, so I was like, okay, I want to get deep and personal. But basically, I was talking to this guy one time, and he was very nonchalant. I was like, you know what, I don't even care, whatever. Like, I'm trying to be like him, be nonchalant, but then I had to realize, that's not who I am. You know, that's not who I am as a person. So why am I trying to conform to be like him? And a lot of times, we conform to be accepted, but if you think about it, you're never giving anyone the opportunity to really know who you are because you keep changing. You keep changing, conforming to society. So you can't ever expect anyone to truly, genuinely love who you are if you're not showing them who you are. Exactly. You know, like you have to just step outside of that. And I feel like that's where your egoic mindset, like you're talking about, is the whole like, well, if he doesn't care, I don't care either. Right. And I have to realize, like, no, I genuinely care. Like, I'm a genuinely caring person. And just because you don't care about things, that's you. And that's just not how I work and how I am and how myself as a being is. That's like how my egoic mind wants me to be. So you have to very like be aware of that. And I feel like on your self-love journey, it's a lot about, I read this book called The Power of Now, and so it just talks about how you have to be the observer of your thoughts. And so just watch your thoughts, not trying to change them or alter them, just observe them. Like when you're like, when a girl tells you your outfit's cute, like, let me think about how that made me feel. Not, why did I think that? Why did I smile when she said that? You know, like not trying to judge your thoughts. Like I'm a Christian, so I always think that like God is the only person who can judge. Like I'm not put on this earth to judge Maci for doing what she wants to do. I'm also a big feminist, so that's that too. But like I'm not put here to judge people, so you can't judge yourself and be hard on yourself either.
I'm kind of glad that you use like a personal experience, because it's very true. Like as young women, we probably have gone and like through the same situations with guys,
right?
Like, trying to be like nonchalant, like okay, so you're not responding,
right? Trying to act crazy, like we're not really crazy.
Exactly. And it brought me back to like, you know, what we said earlier, like if it's meant to be, it will be. Like if it's meant to happen, it will happen.
What is for you cannot pass you.
Right.
So if something is meant to happen to you, it will happen for you.
Yes.
So if it passes you, then it wasn't meant to happen for you, and it wasn't meant to happen to you. So you have to let that go. And I feel like a lot of times we have resistance to things, and that's what causes a lot of our like pain, is because we're not accepting for what it was. And I feel like no, you're fine.
my leg got
sleep. Okay, get it together. But no, and I feel like a lot of times we're just not accepting. And I remember like people used to always think that like it is what it is, and it would just be a joke. But like that saying is so much deeper than how we see it, because it really is what it is. Like it is what it's gonna be. If that's how it is, accept it. You know. I told my sister, I was like, you know, you have to just accept it for what it is and move and go from there. And she's like, well, I don't want to accept where I'm at right now. Like, and I'm like, you don't have to be comfortable with where you're at right now in life, but you have to accept that I'm here and what is this teaching me and how can I go forward.
Exactly, yes.
You know? Yeah. And I want to talk about like it was something you said. So you wrote down the woman you want to be. So let's talk about that. Like how, I feel like we've talked about our self-love journey, but like how do you get on it? How do you start? What are tips that we can give?
Honestly, okay, for your self-love journey, that's just, I feel like, for example, what because you've probably done it before, where you wrote like who you want to be.
Yeah,
like, that's a really like good start. Like
a vision board.
Right, a vision board. Honestly, even if like you can't make a vision board because it does take a lot of time and energy, and you're not ready to that full like step or like to be at that full extent. Honestly, get a paper.
Get a piece of paper right now. Pause the episode.
No, get a piece of paper, get a pencil, or use your phone. Write down who you want to become. Like write down like who you are meant to be, and just write down like ultimately like you're the best version of you. I feel like honestly that's a really great step to really figure out, okay, what do I really want out of like this journey? What do I really want to see myself thrive in? Like what is the goal here? Exactly. And always start small, and then like eventually along the journey like you'll learn like, okay, this is what worked out, this is what didn't, this is what helped. Right. And it's like, because ultimately you can't really give like someone every single step of the way, because it's more just like what works for you will work for you, and like you're gonna learn new stuff along the way, and just accepting and find yourself. But I just feel like for like our younger girls, it is harder because like you're just younger and you're still learning.
Right, you're trying to figure out.
But like life does get easier when you're older. I will say that. Like has it got a little bit easier?
Yeah, but
I don't know. I just feel like the experiences, like it really has taught like both of us, and it really has made us like, you know, the young, like beautiful and strong woman that we are, like sitting here today, but like helping you, but like it's true, it really does shape you, and just honestly as life like goes on and as you keep growing and like pursuing who you want to be, it's just like it does just kind of like fall into your lap, and then you'll just become who you want to be, and you just go from there. You keep thriving, you keep
taking baby steps.
Baby steps. Just exactly. So definitely start with just like, okay, well, who do I want to show the world? Who am I to the world? Like when I step outside my room, or when I step outside my house, or wherever you live, who do I want people to see me? Like what is the main goal? Like what is my objective? Like what do I want people to see or view me for who I am? Like, what do I want them to feel? And honestly, write it down. Like, for example, like, I want people to see me as confident, glowing, but also loving and caring. And when they're next to me, I want them to feel the energy as if like I'm a very welcoming like mother, a motherly figure maybe. And I would honestly really go into depth and detail of who you want to just become, and really believe into the idea, because honestly, ultimately, that is what manifesting is. Have you talked about manifesting yet?
No.
Okay. Manifesting is a different
It's a whole different episode, y'all.
No, it's a different episode, but that is a really good tool to manifest like who you want to become. It's always just believing to the idea that it has already happened and it will happen. Like, it's there, and that's like a really good tool to manifest. But yeah, for your first step, I would definitely say just write who you want to be.
Write down, like, I always say, because my mom used to do this, she used to do this every year. My mom's a very spiritual person. Shout out to you, Mom. I feel like she's gonna watch this. I love you. But she, like, every year on New Year's Eve, she'd always make us write down, like, who do you want to be going into the year? Like, what are things you want to be, and like, what are things that you want to do to better yourself? And she would like read it every morning for the first week of the year. Like,
that's
read it every morning,
good.
just so you have the idea of where you want to go. I feel like a lot of times we have like the big goals, like, okay, I want to be rich, I want to have, you know, like, I want to have success, But it's like, what are baby steps? You know, like, we're always so focused on the big picture that we're not looking at like the little pieces that took us to get there. You know?
Right, exactly.
So I always would say just start small, and I really feel like self-love is just showing up for yourself.
Yeah, it is. Like, ultimately, it's just being consistent. Like, with anything that you do, you must be consistent with it. Being positive and just honestly showing kindness to yourself, it will represent who you are as a person and how you view the world. Because if you are not kind to yourself, you will not view the world in a very beautiful and safe light. You're gonna feel unsafe. And honestly, I don't know about you, but like, home and just your safety should be you. Like, it should not be
a place, an object,
a thing, right? Exactly. It should honestly be yourself. Like, you should be your home. You should be your safety. At the end of the day, when you have a hard day and you don't know what to do, you don't know what the next step, you should come back and reflect to yourself. Like, yourself should be home.
Like, tap into who you are. Like, you as a being are enough. Like, you, who you are,
and repeat it, right? Like, say it to yourself. Talk to yourself. Like, you're not crazy. Just talk to yourself.
Bro, I do it every day.
Right.
Everywhere I go, bro.
I had a full-on conversation with myself to work, and I was just talking to myself. I told myself, like, okay, I'm ready for the next step in my life. Like, I'm ready to like get started on these projects I have for myself. I literally just dived into everything I want to do for myself and who I want to be, and just talk to yourself. Become like your best friend with yourself. Like, honestly, like, and that's a good way of like, when you're being like, when you're isolating yourself, trying to find yourself, honestly, start being friends with you. Like, just talk to yourself.
Start figuring out like you like. Right. We're so focused on trying to show up for other people that we don't show up for ourselves.
No, exactly.
Like, I can never fully show up for someone else if I haven't shown up for me.
Exactly.
You gotta figure out what you like. And I feel like there was definitely times when I cried and I was like, Yellow, why are you crying? Not like attacking myself, like, girl, why are you crying? Just like, why do you feel this way? Like, let's talk about it. You know, like being there for yourself and just always looking, like, always being observing of how you react and how you interact and those things. So I feel like sometimes, like, back to the whole egoic mind thing, somebody will hurt us, they'll be like, I don't care, whatever, brush it off, or we'll cry about it and like, why are you crying, you know? But like, you have to go in deep into yourself and be like, well, why do I feel like this is hurting me? Like, what is this trying to teach me? And why do I feel like this is affecting me so much? And so my sister is like my personal therapist. Like, when I don't know the answer for myself, I go to her. And so I was always, to get personal, I was always, because like my life isn't very consistent. I was never consistent with myself, and I can talk about this because I'm working on it. And I think a lot of times we don't want to talk about personal things because it's just like, oh, I don't want people to see me that way. I truly don't care, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just me. Like, this is me. You know, like everyone, like Lauren Hill said, everyone's trying to fit into a society standard, but like, you are made to be your own standard. Like, everyone is beautifully, wonderfully made in a different, completely way. So how I am and how she is totally different. But that's the beauty of life. You know, like, I learn about her and her ways and how she interacts, and she's learned about me. So, dang, what was I going with that?
No, you're but like perfect. Like, honestly, like, you're just very glowy too. I just hope you know that. I don't know. just like precious. You're very
Thank
glowing.
you.
And like,
oh,
you know what's
so like,
right? That's exactly like what. Honestly, this just makes me happy. But like my boyfriend, he told me, he's like, women are very precious. Like
you cherish them and
cherish yourself because you are precious. You're an angel. Like you are a woman, just like divine, like walking on earth.
Divine energy. Like
no, for real.
Like you glow.
You glow, yes.
And that's what I wrote down when I was. I'm so glad you said that, guys. Like, thank you. Yeah. That's what I wrote about when I had. Cause I started my self-love journey in the summer of 2020. So.
Same.
Okay. 2 years in, almost three. It's crazy. Yeah, so I had always just wrote like, I want to be the type of person when you walk into the room, you can just feel my energy. Like you can just feel that I bring positive energy. So that was.
I feel it. I feel it.
So that was just something that like I really wanted to master. So I feel like really writing down, and like I know some people don't like to journal, and I try to get all my friends onto journaling.
I know, same.
Yeah,
I try to get everyone.
Right. Because I journal every single night. That's something that I truly value. And I feel like on your self-love journey too, you have to figure out what you value. Yeah. So the things that like, for example, things I value is buying myself flowers all the time. And I love making flower bouquets. I just think they're so cute, fun to make. And then I value going to the park and just sitting with myself. Yeah. And I value family time. And I value and I value journaling, and I value reading upon like how to better myself. Yeah. So I feel like on your journey, figure out what you value and what is important to you, and not what society deems as important. You know, like what do you feel like you really truly cherish? And the other thing I asked myself, and I journaled about this, and I struggled with this for a very long time because I'd always be like, I was like, what is something that I keep to me that it's just exclusive to me, that no one else kind of knows about, that I only do for me. And I feel like it took me so long to answer that because I feel like I gave so much of myself out that I never kept anything for myself. Right. And you need to keep certain things for yourself. And y'all, TikTok really be, I don't know, some people say TikTok is like the death of us, but it really be like teaching me things. Yeah, I know. Because it's grown. TikTok is very helpful. Right? In different ways. Right. Yeah, no, if you're looking at the right feed, it's very helpful. It's very eye-opening. And also, just another thing, when you're not allowing yourself to be your most authentic self, your throat chakra will close up. And like I was just going to say that. Your throat chakra is located, right here. It's your throat chakra. And when you are not allowing yourself to speak your truth, it will close up, and then you'll stumble upon words. You won't really know what you're saying. So like you said, it's better to keep some things to yourself. And like when things are like said and done, maybe it's time to just leave it that way. Maybe it's time to just leave it where it's at, and when you are ready to speak, trust me, like the words will flow again, and it will just go so smoothly and right, as if like you already knew. And that's just another thing I wanted to speak about, that is just really truly being your most authentic self. Like there's no need to like lie and be someone else, because what's the point of that? Like honestly, it's kind of like what's it called? You're being very you're not like lying to yourself, but what's it called, like when you're trying to you're being like self-destructive. I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice. Yeah, that's the word. Disservice. Yeah, I was looking for someone to say it, but I couldn't find it. So yeah. No, I got what you're trying to say. Not showing up for you. And I was telling my cousin this the other day too. Me and my cousin, we have really good talks. And I can't wait to have him on my podcast as well. But we were just talking, and he was kind of going back and forth about the situation, and I was like, you've come so, like the situation with this girl or whatever, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I was like, you've come so far as a person that allowing to, like, staying in a situation is a disservice to yourself. Like you've grown so much, and you've bettered yourself so much, and you've put in the work, so being with someone who doesn't know or who's unsure about you is a disservice to you, because you put in the work to figure out yourself. So don't let someone confuse you. And I feel like that happens a lot too. Oh, back to what we were talking about the other thing. This was on TikTok. She said, we've given away parts of ourselves that God intended for us to keep. So don't give so much of yourself to other people. Like keep some things for you, because that is going to ground you. That's going to keep you sane as a person. Because if we give all of ourselves to other people, what do we have to come back to? Yeah. Like I have nothing with me if I don't keep it with me. Exactly. Yeah. So just keep part of yourself to yourself, and that's different for everybody. Like Some people are very sacred with their body. Some people are very sacred with the company they keep. So everything is different depending on how you want to see it. So take it how you will, but just keep parts of you to yourself. And I feel like the more you work on yourself, the higher and higher you will see yourself.
Yeah.
The more you'll be like, I don't deserve. Like, I'm gonna play. Like, now I always say this. Like, things will happen with situations with people in life, and I'll be like, I didn't deserve that. So I'm gonna walk away knowing that like my conscience is clear. I did my best. I put in the steps forward. I tried. But this, sometimes things reach a certain point to where me staying is devaluing myself.
Yeah.
You know, because you're like. And I think like once you like catch yourself in those moments, you're like, I don't deserve that. I don't deserve
That's
this.
the first sign. Once you catch yourself, one sign should be enough. When you don't feel comfortable with whatever is going on, that should be your first sign. No, I just feel like you need to really just take care of like your overall like well-being and just be there for yourself truly. And it's hard. I mean, it's really hard because I feel like it's like you don't want to leave a situation because like you're comfortable, and like you said, like who doesn't want to be uncomfortable?
Yeah.
You know?
So but like you only go in uncomfortable situations.
But like, you know another thing I want to say is once you do step out of those situations, I promise you, like whatever you believe, like God, the universe, just whatever your beliefs are, on the other side, there's gonna be just a way better outcome. Like I'm telling you, because. For example, if you're in like a really toxic relationship and you're like debating, should I leave this person, should I not? Ultimately, if you do end up leaving, I'm telling you, like, there's always going to be like just someone better or something truly for yourself on the other side. It's like, just wait and see. Like, I don't know, I just feel like it's always like a wait and see, just like if you just did this one thing, because everything that you do in life, you're doing choices. So whatever your choices react on is like the outcome you're going to get. And some people don't want to take that step because they're like, okay, if I leave this person, what am I losing? But yet again, if you're debating about leaving them, then why stay? Because it's a conflicting situation that you're in. So,
and if you feel once you reach that point where you're whole with yourself, you're never losing anything.
Right.
Like, if someone leaves your life, and I don't say this to be like oh, whatever, like I'm better than them, like I don't need them, But like, there's a talk going around where it's kind of like, I look like, why would I chase you? I look good, you look good too, you know, type thing. So it's just like, once you know and you're confident in who you are and the person you're becoming and the walk you have and your purpose in life, if someone chooses to walk out on your life, let them, right? Like I always said, like I'm always gonna say, what is for you cannot pass you. If you walk past me, you are not for me. I'm gonna let you go. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, if there's room to try and you guys are both willing on trying, you and your friendship, relationship, whatever, then try. But if there comes a point where you're like, well, I need to leave, but I just like. But like I need this person. You don't need anybody.
You don't need anybody. You don't need anybody. You need excuses.
Right.
It's just like excuses, like just wanting you to stay. But ultimately, like you know the answer. All the answers you seek are like within yourself. Everything that you seek out of life, I'm telling you, you may not know it now, but later, like down your path, those answers will come to you. Answers are all from within. They're never from any person, any being, anything. It's all from within. And I feel like that's a really big lesson and a big thought that a lot of people need to like come to terms with. It's like, okay, all the answers I seek are from within. Like everything I need is within me.
Lauryn Hill said, yo, I'm always going back to Lauryn Hill. That's my homegirl, for real.
No, really.
Right.
I love Lauryn Hill too. Where is she though?
Right? Like, I think she disappeared. Like,
disappeared. No, she disappeared.
Oh my gosh. She always says, she said, truth is from the inside, the inside out. It's not from the outside in. You can't get it from people, from things. Your truth is from within you. That's why I always say do self-introspection. And what I mean by that is just look deep into yourself and look at how you react. And a lot of times we think that we have to go back into our past to heal. But I feel like you can heal in the present moment by observing how you react.
Yes.
Like if you're yelling at me and I start crying, in that moment, what is that trying to tell me? Like, in this moment, I don't like that and that's hurting me. So how do I change that? You communicate that. And I feel like a lot of times to grow, you have to communicate.
Right.
You have to
exactly. You really have to have good communication. And sometimes that's hard because, like, I don't know, if you're sensitive like me, I feel like growing up, I was always told to like shut up or be quiet. Like my emotions, they were always just like
muted.
Yes, muted, and just it really like damaged me emotionally, and like mentally, so it was always hard for me to like speak up for myself at times when I wanted to, and I got really sensitive in my throat, like my throat chakra would break, and just the way I was speaking, I just couldn't like
get your words out.
I couldn't get my words out. It was so hard, and no, it was, but like at the end of the day, it's like, okay, when I stand up for myself, I'm not only standing up for who I am now, but I'm standing up for like the little girl, like my inner child, like who I was when I was 5 years old,
right?
The girl that couldn't speak for herself just yet.
Yeah.
So it's just standing up for yourself is just another form of self-love. It's
setting your boundaries.
Yeah.
Having your terms and conditions is how I can put it, but setting things that people cannot cross, putting things in order to better you, or having certain things that you want in your lifestyle and in your life, and sticking to those boundaries or standards or rules, or however you're going to take it, those are to better you. So always set them to where they'll continue to allow you to grow.
And exactly, and also just for those who are like, you know, sensitive, like sensitivity is not a weakness. Like it's not a weakness at all. Honestly, it's very powerful. I see it as power. I feel like, wow, you have the power to really engulf yourself and just like an overload of emotion and really be one with yourself. It's very I don't know. It's like a very beautiful like aspect. I mean, internally it might not feel good like when it's actually happening, but it is. It's your power. Like being sensitive and just feeling just a big amount of emotion is very powerful, because you're letting yourself just feel and be open. Like you're letting yourself be vulnerable,
and it's okay. Closed off. And I feel like we try to close ourselves off, and there's no growth in that. I'm always gonna tell you guys, when you feel like you're in an uncomfortable situation, and I don't mean put yourself in a situation to where it's gonna harm you in like an uncomfortable way, but like if you're in a room and you're uncomfortable, don't like react based off of that feeling. Take it as like, how can I grow? So if I'm in a room with people and I'm uncomfortable, think to yourself, what is making me uncomfortable? Always ask yourself questions. I feel like it's how you really grow. Always ask yourself observation questions. So if I'm in a room with people and there's like 30 people around me, I'm just like just uncomfortable and nervous, ask myself I always say, ask yourself, what are you fearing? You know? Yeah. Once you figure out what you're fearing in that moment, you're acknowledging it and you're being present of it. To not be 100% with myself and how I interact with other people, because I was always scared. Like, what if they truly see me and they don't accept me? You know, like what if they see all of me and I'm not who they want, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not what they're looking for. But you have to realize that if you're showing somebody, and if you're being 110% authentically you, and they don't accept you, that has nothing to do with you as a person.
Right.
You know,
honestly, it ultimately has to do with them.
Right.
Like, it doesn't. Like, you'll find your people. Like, you'll find like who you're meant to be with. You'll find like
what's right for you.
Yeah, what's right for you and like where you stand. It's just like, I wouldn't force any friendships, relationships, because they're never gonna value who you are as a person, and ultimately you're doing yourself like a dishonor, because it's like, why am I gonna be a different person for someone else when I can just be me? It's a lot easier to be yourself and just be more relaxed and in tune with yourself, and instead of putting on like a fake persona on the front.
I definitely want to talk, like, I just want to share some things to just help you guys go into the new year. If you're starting your self-love journey, like, I know I keep saying like, oh, things are hard, but like, disclaimer, it is hard. But like, if you want to be a better person, you have to put in the work. Like, that goes for anything. Yeah. If you want to go to a good school, you got to put in the work for your grades. So everything in life is hard. So don't make that your excuse, because then you'll never like really take the journey seriously. But the 3 things I would say to just always like ground yourself on and be firm with are consistency. If you're consistent in what you want to do, you'll get there.
Exactly.
So be consistent. Be honest with yourself. Like, be consistent, be honest, and what's the third one you would say?
Honestly, I think just being vulnerable. Just
be open.
Right.
You know?
Be vulnerable.
Optimistic. Yeah.
Be able to just really show up for yourself, and kind of just like allow yourself to be you, and just become like your truest authentic self. I mean,
So I would say consistency, honesty, vulnerability. Yeah. You know, mindfulness.
Yeah. And be aware. Honestly, just be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts. Just be very aware of like who you are and what the next step you're taking ultimately.
And how you're interacting.
Yeah.
You know? So just to close off about that, and just to close off about self-worth.
Yeah.
To figure out your self-worth, you just have to realize that like you are worthy of everything you desire, everything. And I don't like to use the word want anymore, because want just means a lack of. Like if you say I want this, you're just acknowledging that you don't have it. So just always say that you desire. Like I desire to be a phenomenal woman, and I desire.
And like you'll know. And
you
always
say
like I know I will be like a desirable, like glowing being. Just
like,
know that you
existence.
are. Right. Right.
Know that you are. Know that you are a being. Know that you are growing, and you are always going to be a better person.
Right.
So whatever trials and tribulations you feel like you're going through right now, whatever kind of just like has been bothering you,
it's meant to happen.
Yeah, like everything's meant to teach you something. So look at it from the aspect of like, how can I better myself from this situation and moving forward into life?
There's gonna always be someone that's gonna really love like the person who you're meant to be, or the person you're meant to become. And
if you know that something isn't who you are or isn't a characteristic trait that you possess, don't let it affect you.
Yeah.
Like if someone comes up to me and be like, "Oh, you're a negative biatch," dude, I'm not gonna be like, "Oh my god, am I really?" No, I know I'm not. And I just everything goes back to just knowing who you are, knowing the essence of your presence and the essence that you hold as a being. So I like you said, just tips and advice. Like my final advice for you on your self-love journey, just take time to understand yourself. And I can't give you like one solid ground tip, because everyone everyone's journey is different. So for people starting their self-love journey and continuing on their journey, or learning, taking tips from us to better your journey, just go into the year with doing what's best for you. So if people aren't serving their purpose in your life anymore, let them go. Let things that are damaging you go. Let things that are pulling on you and tagging and like dragging you down, let those things go. So just go into the year always looking for opportunities to be better and to grow, be a better person. And if you feel like after hearing us talk, there's people in your life that just, you kind of feel like there's a lot of conformity when you're around them and just trying to conform to how they are, reassess those things and just know that figuring out who you want to be as a person and growing to be authentically who you are is the best decision that you can make for yourself. So always put yourself first, because self-love and self-care are two different things. So make sure that you're always focusing on self-love. You know, still keep your maintenance up, still do your self-care, because self-care makes us feel good, but always try to grow your mentality in the process. Thank you guys for watching. Much love on your journeys. We love you guys. And then,
well, thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being
on here.
Yeah.
A really good opportunity for me to speak, to the collective. So
and it was good. I think because I just learned so much from you and like your perspective on things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can take away from this too. And this is why I do this.
No, really though. Like you're very. I hope you hold power. You're really powerful. Honestly, like this was a good experience. We both learned from each other. So
I'm glad that I'm ending off the year with Macy. I just want to say thank you guys for watching.